Alright, good morning everyone. We are a bit delayed. Who knew tradies work through Smoko? But anyway, they're still going, so we're going to kick on with it before we wait any longer. We're here with break 423, which is a 26 League Heroes combo break, and this one features the 26 League Heroes sealed case, two 26 League Hero hobby boxes, and 5 26 League Heroes starter packs. Our team list: Broncos, Johnny D; Raiders, Gareth Lawson; Bulldogs, George Grispos; Sharks, Rod Staples; Dolphins, Tarren, Tairaki; Titans, Lachlan, Logan; Manly, Jacob Hurst; Storm, Craig Milson; Knight, Karen Adnum; Cowboys, Troy O'Brien; Eels, Greg King; Panthers, Greg King; Rabbitohs, Sam Driscoll; Dragons, Lachlan, Logan; Roosters, Kate Bayley; Warriors, George Grispos; Tigers, Dean Mich. And here we are, guys. We can see what's going on here in the background. I have my scissors. I don't have my knife or my bin. I'm highly unorganized. I am sorry. But that's alright. There's lots going on this morning, guys. And in the last few minutes before we went live, I was making up the picture for the new break. And if you haven't seen, it will be a sealed 26 League Heroes hobby case. But there is an extra hobby box in there. I'm not going to quite tell you what that one's for. You'll have to keep an eye out and find out. But yes, there is an extra hobby box that will be in that break, and we will not be opening it on video. So most of you will probably know what that is. For some reason, YouTube is still stuck there. Hopefully it will catch up. Alright, let's go get these starter packs open. YouTube is close now. I'm happy to go ahead. We listed another spot raz this morning, another Titans Dragons double spot raz with the bonus blaster in there, and that one's for break 424, which is also now sold out. Someone come and grabbed the last spot, which was Dolphins. I'm really hoping to get that raz done today, and we can break that one tomorrow morning. And the new hobby case break will not be listed until the current breaks are sold out. Whatever the next coming soon break is will be turned into that hobby case break. So if you haven't already, you can add that one to your wish list and you'll get notified once it's in stock. Morning, Lee. Oh, mate, I can't remember if that was this morning or yesterday now. It has been crazy. But anyway, I was going to send you a text. Happy birthday, mate. As I said, I can't remember if it's today or yesterday, but happy birthday, Lee. I'm glad you stopped in and said hello because, yes, Alright, here we go. Alright, league heads Dylan Lucas for the Knights. We listed the new Pick the Score giveaway post as well this morning. Make sure you get your entries into that one, guys. Cameron Murray, league heads for the Rabbitohs. And as always, don't forget to get your tips in for your chance to be the top tipper. Still waiting for last week's top tipper to contact us. League heads Mitchell Barnett for the Warriors. League heads Lachlan Galvin for the Bulldogs. Sometimes it's hard to match up the names, guys, with what information NRL.com gives us. League heads Sebastian Chris for the Raiders. Alright, that's our 5 starter packs open. Let's open the packets from them and we will move on to the case after that. Move them out of the way. League heads Jack Williams for the Eels. Luminous Keanu Kinney for the Titans. Game Breakers Lindsay Smith for the Panthers. Luminous Kyle Flanagan for the Dragons. Colour die cuts James Tedesco for the Roosters. Luminous Jai Arrow for the Rabbitohs. Bang Jason Saab for Manly. Luminous Cooley Kefu for the Dolphins. Game Breakers Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Luminous Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. League heads Braden Trindle for the Sharks. Luminous Greg Marzu for the Knights. The league head Hudson Young for the Raiders. Luminous Corey Horsburgh for the Raiders. Bang Jack Bostock for the Dolphins. Luminous Cassie Hiku for the Eels. Game Breakers Cameron McInnes for the Sharks. Luminous Jalen DeGroot for Titans. Die cut Carl Lawton for the Cowboys. Luminous Tyson Frizzell for Knights. Game Breakers Jamie Humphries for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Bayley Haywood for the Bulldogs. League heads Moses Sulai for the Dragons. Luminous Adenfanua Blake for the Sharks. Colour die cut Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Joseph Tarpane for the Raiders. Game Breakers Shaylee Bent for the Titans. Luminous Billy Walters for the Broncos. League heads Xavier Willison for the Broncos. Luminous Jamie Humphries for Rabbitohs. And that's the end of those ones. We'll get the boxes out of the case and we will get stuck into them. Alright, that's it. That's all of them. Let's just move them back out of my way. Alright, box number 1. Here we go. League head Cody Walker for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Moses Sulai for the Dragons. Bang Kalen Ponga for the Knights. Luminous Tommy Trbojevic for Manly. Game Breakers Jalen DeGroot for Titans. Luminous Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. Colour die-cut Hammer Fido for the Dolphins. Luminous Connor Tracy for the Bulldogs. League heads Fletcher Sharp for the Knights. Luminous Roger Tulvasa Sheck for the Warriors. Triumph for the Tigers. Luminous Tiana Penatani Gray for the Sharks. Game Breakers Patricia for the Warriors. Luminous Terrell May for the Tigers. League heads Jackson Purdue for the Cowboys. Luminous Jack Williams for the Eels. Game Breakers Corey Horsburgh for the Raiders. Luminous Stefano Utkamanu for Storm. League heads Keanu Kinney for the Titans. Luminous KO Weeks for the Raiders. Bang Ryan Pappenhausen for Storm. Luminous Bo Fermor for Titans. Bang Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. Luminous Jake Trbojevic for Manly. League heads Jake Trbojevic for Manly. Luminous Sean Kepi for the Rabbitohs. Colour die cut Dean Mariner for the Broncos. Luminous Tegan Berry for the Dragons. League heads Reece Welsh for the Broncos. Luminous White for the Roosters. Game breakers Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. Luminous Jack Bostock for the Dolphins. Bang Jaden Sewer for the Dragons. Luminous Lindsay Smith for Panthers. Triumph Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Luminous Fletcher Sharp for Knights. Bang Murray Tairaki for Cowboys. Luminous Dylan Walker for the Eels. League heads Brighton Nakora for the Sharks. Luminous Zahara Tamara for the Raiders. Colour die cut Val Holmes for the Dragons. Luminous Brian To'o for Panthers. Game breakers Asaya Yongi for the Eels. Luminous Luke Lolili for Tigers. Gladiators Keon Kolomatangi for the Rabbitohs. 162. Luminous Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. League heads Jaden Sewer for the Dragons. Luminous Chanel Harris Tavita for the Warriors. Colour die cut Bo Fermor for the Titans. Luminous Blake Brayley for the Sharks. Game breakers Jai Gray for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Tui Kamikamika for the Storm. League heads Dylan Walker for the Eels. Luminous Xavier Willison for the Broncos. Bang Tommy Turbo for Manly. Luminous Tamale for the Raiders. League Heads Sam Walker for the Roosters. Luminous Emma Veron for the Sharks. Game Breakers Dylan Lucas for the Knights. Luminous Samula Fainu for the Tigers. League Heads Jacob Carraz for Bulldogs. Ray Stone Luminous for the Dolphins. Game Breakers Nita Maynard for the Dragons. Luminous Stephen Crichton for the Bulldogs. Die cut Marky Mark for the Roosters. Luminous Philip Semi for the Titans. 3 packets left for the box. League Heads Fanua Pole for Tigers. Luminous Patrick Carrigan for the Broncos. Mercury Braden Trindle for the Sharks, number 134. Luminous Dane Gagai for the Knights. Game Breakers Gahamat Shabarsky for the Broncos. Luminous Connor Watson for the Roosters. And that's that box finished. Get these out of the way and we can get into box number 2. League Heads Jermaine Hopgood for the Eels. Luminous Ali Briganshaw for the Broncos. Lachlan Elias die cut for Dragons. Luminous Jermaine Isako for Dolphins. Bang Sebastian Chris for the Raiders. Luminous Jerome Hughes for Storm. League Heads AJ Brimson for the Titans. Luminous Casey McLean for Panthers. Game Breakers Tegan Dimick for the Bulldogs. Luminous Chand Nico Klokstad for the Warriors. Gladiators Jackson Purdue for Cowboys 226. Luminous Ethan Sanders for the Raiders. League heads Jareem Buller for Tigers. Luminous William Kennedy for Sharks. Game breakers Dylan Edwards for Panthers. Luminous Tamika Upton for the Broncos. Bang Brian To'o for Panthers. Luminous Jesse Ramian for the Sharks. Game breakers Luke Brooks for Manly. Luminous Mitchell Barnett for the Warriors. League heads Mitchell Barnett for the Warriors. Luminous Ben Trebojevic for Manly. Colour die cut Cohen Hess for the Cowboys. Luminous Sanua Taruva for Tigers. League heads Damien Cook for the Dragons. Luminous Will Penasini for the Eels. Colour die cut Jerome Luai for the Tigers. Luminous Satili Tupanua for the Bulldogs. Bang Jack Whiten for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Sean Russell for the Eels. League heads Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Luminous Zali Hopkins for Dragons. Game breakers John Bateman for the Cowboys. Luminous Kurt Mann for the Bulldogs. Colour die cut Ali for the Dragons. Luminous Jermaine McEwen for the Knights. League heads Lindsay Collins for the Roosters. Luminous James Tedesco for the Roosters. Game breakers Julia Robinson for the Broncos. Luminous Jonah Pezzett for Storm. Bang Connor Tracy for the Bulldogs. Luminous Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. League heads Herbie Farmworth for the Dolphins. Luminous Luke Metcalf for Warriors. We have a Daly M Predictor. Luminous Sarah Toga Tuki for Tigers. League heads, Jai Arrow for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Connolly Lumi Lou for Dolphins. Triumph for the Warriors. Luminous Samuel Stone Street for the Sharks. Mercury Jacob Saifiti for the Knights, number 294. Luminous Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Game Breakers Jack Bostock for the Dolphins. Luminous Dominic Young for the Knights. League heads John Bateman for the Cowboys. Luminous Hamoli Olika R2 for Manly. Game Breakers Jaden Sewer for the Dragons. Luminous Max Plath for Dolphins. Bang Roger Tulvasa Sheck for the Warriors. Luminous Cameron Murray for Rabbitohs. League heads Stephen Crichton for the Bulldogs. Luminous Regan Campbell Gillard for Titans. Red Triumph Payne Haas for the Broncos. Luminous Jackson Purdue for the Cowboys. Game Breakers Chance Nico Klokstad for the Warriors. Luminous Blaze Talagi for Panthers. League heads Luke Brooks for Manly. Luminous Tom Starling for Raiders. Bang Greg Marsu for Knights. Luminous Lindsay Collins for the Roosters. Game Breakers Hudson Young for the Raiders. Luminous Mawaki Fotoaka for Titans. And that's the end of box number 2. Let's keep going and get on with box number 3. Game Breakers Tyson Frizzell for Knights. Luminous Kurt Mann for Bulldogs. League heads Joseph Tarpanay for the Raiders. Luminous Jermaine McEwen for the Knights. Red Triumph, Reece Walsh for the Broncos. Luminous, James Tedesco for the Roosters. Bang, Renato Mulatalo for the Sharks. Luminous, Max Plath for the Dolphins. League Heads, Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. Luminous, Cameron Murray for the Rabbitohs. Game Breakers, Tanila Paseka for Manly. Luminous, Regan Campbell Gillard for the Titans. Colour die cut Tamale for the Raiders. Luminous, Jackson Purdue for Cowboys. League Heads, Max King for the Bulldogs. Luminous, Blaze Tairaki for Panthers. League Heads, Kalen Ponga for the Knights. Luminous, Tanila Paseka for Manly. Bang, Bradman Best for the Knights. Luminous, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Game Breakers, Bo Fermor for Titans. Luminous, John Bateman for the Cowboys. League Heads, Apatite Coruscant for the Tigers. Luminous, Jamin Salmon for the Bulldogs. Gladiators, Payne Huss for the Broncos, number 310. Luminous, Cameron Munster for the Storm. League Heads, Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Luminous, Brian Kelly for the Titans. Game Breakers, Liam Martin for the Panthers. Luminous, Tom Starling for Raiders. Bang, Dylan Edwards for Panthers. Luminous, Tamika Upton for the Broncos. Red Triumph, Chance Nicole Klokstad for the Warriors. Luminous, Jesse Ramian for the Sharks. League Heads, Hamali Olaka-Atu for Manly. Luminous, Mitchell Barnett for the Warriors. Game Breakers, Adam Fanua Blake for the Sharks. Luminous, Ben Trbojevic for Manly. League heads James Tedesco for the Roosters. Luminous Sanua Taruva for Tigers. Game breakers Morgan Smithies for the Raiders. Luminous Bayley Simonson for the Eels. Bang Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Luminous Jesse Southwell for the Knights. League heads Brian Kelly for the Titans. Luminous Luciano Leilua for the Dragons. Mercury Hugo Savala for the Roosters. Luminous Katoni Stags for Broncos. Game breakers Joash for Eels. Luminous Isaiah Papali'i for Panthers. Colour die cut Cameron McInnes for the Sharks. Luminous Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Colour die cut Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. Luminous Satili Tupanua for the Bulldogs. Bang Lachlan Galvin for the Bulldogs. Luminous Sean Russell for the Eels. League heads Will Penasini for the Eels. Luminous Zali Hopkins for the Dragons. Bang Jack Whiten for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Will Penasini for the Eels. League heads Luke Metcalf for the Warriors. Luminous Jonah Hesett for the Storm. Game breakers Valami Kickout for Bulldogs. Luminous Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. Colour die cut Hamali Olika-Atu for Manly. Luminous Luke Metcalf for the Warriors. League heads Cameron McInnes for the Sharks. Luminous Saratoga Tuki for Tigers. Second last packet for our third box. Game breakers Tegan Berry for the Dragons. Luminous Connolly Lumilu for Dolphins. Oh, Daly M, and it's a wild card. I don't know what team that is. I didn't see it. Luminous Samuel Stone Street for the Sharks. And let's put these ones away. Box number 4. League heads Jaden Sewer for the Dragons. Luminous Dominic Young for the Knights. Game Breakers Mahalia Murphy for the Eels. Luminous Hamoli Olika Atu for Manly. Bang Brian Kelly for the Titans. Luminous Lindsay Collins for the Roosters. League heads Terrell May for the Tigers. Luminous Mawaki Fodawaika for Titans. Red Triumph Scott Drinkwater for the Cowboys. Luminous Ali Briganshaw for the Broncos. League head Gerhamat Shabarsky for Broncos. Luminous Jerome Hughes for Storm. Game Breakers Alefiana Khan Piera for Titans. Luminous Casey McLean for Panthers. League heads Alefiana Khan Piera for Titans. Luminous Chance Nicole Klokstad for Warriors. Colour die cut Robert Toyer for the Roosters. Luminous Ethan Sanders for the Raiders. League heads Cameron Murray for the Rabbitohs. Luminous William Kennedy for the Sharks. Bang Phoenix Crossland for the Knights. Luminous Addo Carr for the Eels. League heads Roger Tuivasa Sheck for the Warriors. Luminous Robert Toyer for the Roosters. Triumph for Bulldogs. Luminous Samaima Torfa for the Raiders. Colour die cut Will Penasini for the Eels. Luminous Tamir Martin for the Warriors. League Game Breakers Cooley Kefu for the Dolphins. Luminous Dry Grey for the Rabbitohs. we're good. League heads, Renato Militalo for the Sharks. Luminous Reed Marnie for the Cowboys. That was a new one. My screen went all funny. Bang Terrell May for the Tigers. Luminous Damien Cook for the Dragons. Gladiators, Big Tino for the Titans. Number 221. Luminous Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Bang Reese Walsh for the Broncos. Luminous Ryan Pappenhausen for Storm. League heads Jacob Karaz for the Bulldogs. Luminous Gahamat Shabarsky for Broncos. Colour die cut Peter for the Rabbitohs. Jacob Preston, Luminous for the Bulldogs. Game breakers Tom Dearden for the Cowboys. Luminous Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. Mercury Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders, number 26. Luminous Keezy Apps for the Tigers. League heads Jason Saab for Manly. Luminous Cody Walker for the Rabbitohs. Game breakers Loco Tonga for the Dragons. Luminous Brighton Nakora for the Sharks. Bang Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. Luminous Kalen Ponga for the Knights. Game breakers Lehe Hopper Wate for Manly. Luminous James Fisher Harris for the Warriors. League heads Lindsay Smith for Panthers. Luminous Yasmin Clydesdale for Knights. Game breakers Tiana Penatani Gray. Val Holmes Luminous for the Dragons. Bang Moses Sulai for the Dragons. Luminous Big Tino for the Titans. League heads Cody Nicarima for the Dolphins. Luminous Kale Iro for the Sharks. Colour die cut Brian Kelly for the Titans. Luminous Cody Nicarima for the Dolphins. Game Breakers Bradman Best for the Knights. Luminous Jason Saab for Manly. Oh no. Oh, it's back again. I'm not sure if it's happening for everyone else, but for me it keeps playing up. It just dropped out completely and said there was no signal, but when I went and checked and come back, it was back. I don't know. I don't know if it's just mine playing games on me. Lycan King Togia, Luminous for the Dragons. Colour die cut Lindsay Smith for the Panthers. Luminous Isaac Tago for Panthers. Game Breakers Jerome Hughes for Storm. Luminous Alepiana Khan Piera for Titans. And that is box number 4 done and dusted. Alright, let's go. League heads, Marata Nakor for the Warriors. Luminous Ruben Garrick for Manly. Game Breakers, Luciano Leilua for the Dragons. Luminous Mich Kenny for the Panthers. League heads, Jack Williams for the Eels. Luminous and Fanua Blake for the Sharks. Colour die cut Brendan Pakura for the Broncos. G'day, g'day. Bayley Haywood for the Bulldogs. It's the place you are at now, shop. No, we work from home. Well, my parents' home. I come here every day for work. Like, are you in a card shop? No, I'm in a house in a corner. Huh? Yeah, well, yeah. League heads Ray Stone for the Dolphins. Luminous Tyson Frizzell for the Knights. Bang Philip Semi for the Titans. Luminous Jalen DeGroot for Titans. Game breakers early for the Warriors. Do you know where the card shop is, or can you only buy on your website? Can only buy on the website. We're online only. You are welcome to pick up once you've placed an order. And that, but yes, there's nothing out on display. You can't come in and have a look at things and go, I'd like to pick that up or whatever. Everything's put away way tight. Alright, YouTube's telling me it's done it again, but it keeps coming back. Oh, this is really getting annoying. I don't know if it's me or Luminous. Corey Horsburgh for the Raiders. Is it dropping out for anyone else? Is that just me? Red Triumph, Ruben Garrick for Manly. Luminous, Cassie Hiku for the Eels. Gladiators, Moses Leota for Panthers, number 495. Luminous, Jessica Surgis for Roosters. Cheers, mate. I'm just going to power on. I don't know what's going on. League heads, Murray Tairaki for the Cowboys. Luminous, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Colour die cut, Jojo Fafita for Titans. Luminous, Harry Grant for Storm. Game breakers, Stephen Crichton for the Bulldogs. Luminous, Renato Molitalo for the Sharks. Bang Dominic Young for the Knights. Luminous, Jacob Saifiti for the Knights. League heads, Moses Sulai for the Dragons. Luminous, Zach Labour for the Cowboys. Die cut, Dylan Lucas for the Knights. Luminous, Loco Tonga for the Dragons. League heads, Isaiah Yo for Panthers. Luminous, Luke Brooks for Manly. Bang Tarren Wishart for Storm. Luminous, Isaiah Katoa for Dolphins. Game breakers, Abby Church for the Eels. Luminous, Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Game breakers, Dane Gagai for the Knights. Luminous, Jesse Southwell for the Knights. Bang Connor Watson for the Roosters. Luminous, Luciano Leilua for the Dragons. League head Patrick Carrigan for the Broncos. Luminous Katoni Staggs for the Broncos. Game breakers Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. Luminous Isaiah Papali'i for Panthers. Red Triumph James Tedesco for the Roosters. Luminous Jacob Carraz for Bulldogs. Colour die cut William Kennedy for the Sharks. Because my mum might buy from your website. Awesome. Yeah, you're welcome to come pick up, as I mentioned. Luminous Alex Seyfarth for the Tigers. League heads Dominic Young for the Knights. Luminous Keon Kolomatangi for the Rabbitohs. Game breakers Big Tino for the Titans. Luminous Ali Leitua for the Warriors. Only in the combos. Sorry. Bang Moses Sulai for the Dragons. Luminous Jordan Ricky for the Broncos. Game breakers Tom Gilbert for the Dolphins. Luminous Tania Paseka for Manly. On top of the bag if you're looking for the charger. If you need it, take it. League heads Corey Horsburgh for the Raiders. Luminous Sam Walker for the Roosters. Bang Jason Tormalolo for Cowboys. Luminous John Bateman for the Cowboys. How does it go for people in Sydney as in ordering from us? Postage is added in, all automatically added up during your checkout, depending on what you choose. If you're in Sydney and coming up here and you would like to pick up, just put pick up as your postage and let us know when you're planning on coming, so we don't have it sitting around for too long. Game breakers Tamale for the Raiders. Luminous Jamin Salmon for Bulldogs. But yeah, we predominantly post all our items. Not many people do pickups. In saying that, we do get a few. League heads Nelson Asafa Solomona for Storm. Luminous Cameron Munster for Storm. League heads Blake Brayley for the Sharks. Luminous Brian Kelly for the Titans. Colour die cut Matthew Lodge for Manly. Luminous Bayley Simonson for the Eels. League Heads Tommy Turbo for Manly. Luminous Georgia Hale for the Titans. And just to go further on that one, Dane, we have quite a few regular customers in New Zealand that we send to as well. So yeah, Mercury Blaze Tairaki for Panthers, number 210. Luminous Josh Kerr for the Dragons. And that's a box number 5 done and dusted. We used to have a regular from England, and he used to put in some, like, he wouldn't put in an order for ages, and then he'd put in a massive one. So it wasn't just heaps of little ones, it was worth it for him paying a little bit of extra in that, in the postage and that. They were scary orders to pick, let me tell you. Game Breakers Cody Walker for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Hammer for the Dolphins. League Heads Reese Walsh for Broncos. Luminous Cohen Hess for the Cowboys. Game Breakers Blake Brayley for the Sharks. Luminous Kurt Catewell for the Warriors. League Heads Jake Trbojevic for Manly. Luminous Campbell Graham for the Rabbitohs. Colour die cut Renato Mulatalo for the Sharks. Luminous Ruben Cotter for the Cowboys. League Heads Ray Stone for the Dolphins. Luminous Jareem Buller for the Tigers. Red Triumph for the Titans. Luminous Xavier Coates for Storm. League Heads Cody Walker for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Herbie Farmworth for the Dolphins. Game Breakers Brian Totter for Panthers. Luminous Dylan Egan for the Dragons. Bang Zach Lomax for the Eels. Luminous Nico Hines for the Sharks. Game breakers Luke Metcalf for the Warriors. Luminous Lehe Hopawate for Manly. Red Triumph Morgan Smithies for the Raiders. Luminous Morgan Smithies for the Raiders. League Heads Chance Nico Klokstad for the Warriors. Luminous Dean Mariner for the Broncos. Game Breakers Apasai Coruscant for the Tigers. Luminous Isabel Kelly for the Roosters. Bang Hammer for the Dolphins. Luminous Abbey Church for the Eels. League Heads Jackson Purdue for Cowboys. Luminous Spencer Lenu for the Roosters. Colour die cut Tanella Paseka for Manly. Luminous Isaiah Yo for Panthers. League Heads Dylan Walker for the Eels. Luminous Dylan Brown for the Knights. Bang KO Weeks for the Raiders. Luminous Clinton Gutherson for the Dragons. Gladiators Marky Mark for the Roosters, number 41. Luminous Ben Hunt for the Broncos. Game Breakers Connor Tracy for the Bulldogs. Luminous Asaya Yongi for the Eels. Colour die cut Jordan Ricky for the Broncos. Luminous Nelson Asafa Solomona for Storm. League Heads Cameron Munster for Storm. Luminous Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Game Breakers Hugo Savala for the Roosters. Luminous Valami Kickout for the Bulldogs. Tommy Dearden Bang for the Cowboys. Luminous Apasai Coruscant for the Tigers. League Heads Jacob Saifiti for the Knights. Luminous Liam Martin for Panthers. got a golden triumph. Let's put that down on the table and save that one for last. Scott Drinkwater in the luminous for Cowboys. Game breakers KO weeks for the Raiders. Luminous Luca Moretti for the Eels. League heads Keanu Kinney for the Titans. Luminous Ethan Blumore for Manly. Bang Leka Halasima for the Warriors. Luminous Jesse Colhoun for the Sharks. Mercury Bayley Simonson for the Eels, number 401. Luminous Jack Whiten for the Rabbitohs. Bang Ryan Pappenhausen for Storm. Luminous Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. League heads Brighton Nakora for Sharks. Luminous Jamie Chapman for Titans. Game breakers Tamika Upton for the Broncos. Luminous Jerome Luai for Tigers. 2 packets are left for the box. League heads Sam Walker for the Roosters. Luminous Hudson Young for the Raiders. Die cut Jeremy Marshall King for the Dolphins. Luminous Leka Halasima for Warriors. And that's the end of that one. Alright, box number 7. Halfway through the case. League heads Alex Atwal for the Tigers. Tommy Dearden, Luminous for the Cowboys. Gladiators, Sebastian Chris for the Raiders, number 334. Excuse me. Luminous Jai Arrow for the Rabbitohs. So I was just sitting here thinking about how many members we've had recently, and it won't be too far away from another members milestone giveaway in our Facebook group. And that reminded me, NRL Cards Trading Post just hit 9,000 members. We've been a part of that group for quite a while, and they've allowed us to advertise in there. So congratulations to them. I know it's not the same people that were running it when we joined up. It's got new mods and new admin. But most of the time, they're on top of it and they're trying to keep the community safe and doing good for the community. So congratulations. Game breakers, Zach Labour for the Cowboys. Luminous, Keanu Kinney for Titans. Bang, Reece Walsh for the Broncos. Luminous, Kyle Flanagan for the Dragons. League heads, Jack Whiten for the Rabbitohs. Luminous, Angelina for the Bulldogs. Colour die cut, Liam Martin for Panthers. Luminous, Zach Lomax for the Eels. Game breakers, Fanua Pole for the Tigers. Luminous, Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Game breakers, Tolator Koala for Manly. Luminous, Marata Nakor for the Warriors. Mercury, Jackson Purdue for the Cowboys, number 279. Luminous, Moses Leota for Panthers. League heads, Sam Verrills for the Titans. Luminous, Jermaine Hopgood for the Eels. Bang, Braden Trindle for the Sharks. Luminous, Mackenzie Wheel for the Cowboys. Triumph, Melbourne Storm. Luminous, Jamie Humphreys for the Rabbitohs. League heads, Braden Trindle for the Sharks. Luminous, Billy Walters for the Broncos. Bang, KO Weeks for the Raiders. Luminous, Joseph Tarpane for the Raiders. Game breakers, Anessa Biddle for the Sharks. Luminous, Greg Marshue for the Knights. Colour die cut, Jack Howarth for Storm. Luminous, Cooley Kefu for the Dolphins. League heads, Stefano Utkamanu for Storm. Luminous, Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. Bang Sanua Taruva for Tigers. Luminous Appy Nichols for the Warriors. Game Breakers Robert Toya for the Roosters. Luminous Jaden Sewer. Cheers for the Dragons. League Heads Chance Nicole Cockstad for the Warriors. Luminous Dylan Lucas for the Knights. Colour and die cut Luke Lolili for the Tigers. Luminous Lachlan Galvin for the Bulldogs. League Heads Ryan Pappenhausen for Storm. Luminous Adam Reynolds for Broncos. Game Breakers Isaac Tago for Panthers. Luminous Hugo Savala for the Roosters. Daly M Predictor. Luminous for Storm. League Heads Cody Nicarima for the Dolphins. Luminous Brendan Smith for the Rabbitohs. In the red Triumph, Zach Lomax for Eels. Luminous Marky Mark for the Roosters. League Heads Connor Watson for the Roosters. Luminous Tom Gilbert for the Dolphins. Game Breakers Angus Crichton for the Roosters. Luminous Wade Egan for the Warriors. Yep, well, it sounds like they're just there on the other side of the wall at the moment, guys. We will keep powering on. League Heads, Kurt. That's it. Kurt Mann for the Bulldogs. Latu Finu, Luminous for the Tigers. Game Breakers Xavier Willison for the Broncos. Luminous Carl Lawton for the Cowboys. Colour die cut Morgan Smithies for the Raiders. Luminous Fanua Pole for the Tigers. League Heads Hudson Young for the Raiders. Luminous Cameron McInnes for the Sharks. Game Breakers Tui Kamikamika for Storm. Trent Leroux, luminous for Storm. Sorry, I feel like it's got something in my eye. I think it's just an eyelash or something, but yeah. Bang, Bayley Simonson for the Eels. Jamal Fogarty, luminous for Manly. League heads, Xavier Milson for the Broncos. AJ Brimson, luminous for the Titans. Bang, Hammer for the Dolphins. Luminous Ezra Mam for the Broncos. And that's the end of the box. Alright, box number 8. A red Triumph, Hamali Olaka-Atu for Manly. Luminous Ronaldo Mulatalo for Sharks. League heads, Ethan Strange for the Raiders. Luminous Jacob Saifiti for the Knights. Whatever station the boys are listening to, they've had some good songs on today. League heads, Chanel Harris Tavita for the Warriors. Luminous Tom Dearden for the Cowboys. Bang for the Storm. Luminous Jai Arrow for the Rabbitohs. Game Breakers, Dylan Egan for Dragons. Luminous Keanu Kinney for Titans. League heads, Ezra Mam for Broncos. Luminous Kyle Flanagan for the Dragons. Mercury Loco Pacifici Tonga for the Dragons. Almost. Number 373. Luminous Angelina for the Bulldogs. League heads, Tom Starling for the Raiders. Luminous Zach Lomax for the Eels. Bang Blaze Talagi for Panthers. Luminous Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Game breakers, Reece Walsh for the Broncos. Luminous, Mich Kenny for Panthers. Gladiators, Valami Kickout for the Bulldogs, number 255. Luminous and Fanua Blake for the Sharks. League heads, Cohen Hess for the Cowboys. Luminous Bayley Haywood for the Bulldogs. Game breakers, Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. Luminous Tyson Frizzell for the Knights. Bang Isaiah Katoa for Dolphins. Luminous Jalen de Groot for Titans. League heads, Connolly Lumi Lou for the Dolphins. Corey Horsburgh, Luminous for Raiders. Colour die cut, Connolly Lumi Lou for Dolphins. Luminous Cassie Hiku for the Eels. Bang Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Luminous Marky Mark for the Roosters. Game breakers, Campbell Graham for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Tom Gilbert for the Dolphins. Colour die cut, Greg Marsu for the Knights. Luminous Zach Labert for the Cowboys. League heads, Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Loco Tonga for the Dragons. Game breakers, Appy Nichols for the Warriors. Luminous Luke Brooks for Manly. Bang Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Luminous Isaiah Katoa for Dolphins. Well, hopefully it only improves as we go. We've got these 4 here, which I think 3 are Dally M's. One's a wild card and the other 2 are players, and a gold triumph. League heads, Jerome Hughes for Storm. Luminous Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Game breakers, Jerome Luai for the Tigers. Luminous Georgia Hale for the Titans. Colour die cut Taylor May for the Tigers. Luminous Josh Kerr for the Dragons. League Heads Jacob Little for the Dragons. Luminous Ruben Garrick for Manly. Colour die cut Carl Lawton for the Cowboys. Luminous Wade Egan for the Warriors. League Heads Valami Kickout for the Bulldogs. Luminous Latu Finu for the Tigers. Game Breakers Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Luminous Ezra Mam for the Broncos. Colour die cut Lachlan King Togia for the Dragons. Luminous Alex Seyfarth for the Tigers. League Heads Liam Martin for Panthers. Luminous Keon Kolomatangi for the Rabbitohs. Red Triumph for the Roosters. Luminous Ali Latua for the Warriors. Game Breakers James Tedesco for the Roosters. Luminous Jordan Ricky for the Broncos. League Heads Junior Paulo for the Eels. Luminous Jessica Surgis for the Roosters. Bang Luke Brooks for Manly. Luminous Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Game Breakers Isaiah Katoa for Dolphins. Luminous Harry Grant for Storm. And that is the end of box number 8. Slot that in there. And let's keep going. 4 boxes left in the case. Let's hope we can get another hit to add to the table in each one of these boxes. We don't need those boxes anymore. Colour die cut Milwaukee photo Ica for Titans. Luminous Payne Haas for Broncos. League heads, Bayley Haywood for the Bulldogs. Luminous Sebastian Chris for Raiders. Game breakers, Clinton Gutherson for the Dragons. Luminous Phoenix Crossland for the Knights. League heads, Morgan Smithies for the Raiders. Luminous Angus Crichton for the Roosters. Game breakers, Kalen Ponga for the Knights. Luminous Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Bang Connor Watson for the Roosters. Luminous Taylor Preston for the Bulldogs. League heads, Mich Kenny for Panthers. Luminous Ethan Bullymore for Manly. Red Triumph, Renato Mulatalo for the Sharks. Luminous Jesse Colhoun for the Sharks. In the past series, we've had enough that we've been able to give them to local clubs and things like that. We've sold a few unsorted cases and things like that. But this year, we're going to struggle to have spares because you don't get a full set in the box. So, yeah, like, we'll see. At the moment, it's just, yeah. Game breakers, Harry Grant for Storm. Luminous Ben Hunt for the Broncos. League heads, Xavier Coates for Storm. Luminous Asaya Iongi for the Eels. Bang Jerome Hughes for Storm. Luminous Jack Whiten for the Rabbitohs. League heads, Dylan Edwards for Panthers. Luminous Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. Colour die cut, Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Luminous Jamie Chapman for the Titans. Game breakers, Jareem Bula for the Tigers. Luminous Kurt Catewell for the Warriors. League heads, James Fisher-Harris for the Warriors. Luminous Campbell Graham for the Rabbitohs. Colour die cut, Felice Kafusi for the Dolphins. Luminous Ruben Cotter for the Cowboys. Bang Ruben Garrick for Manly. Luminous Dream Buller for Tigers. League Heads Ben Hunt for the Broncos. Luminous Xavier Coates for the Storm. Game Breakers Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Yes, William, we've actually been talking about that this break, and I put a post up as well, actually. Luminous Herbie Farnworth for the Dolphins. We're getting really close now to having the current breaks sold out with only a few spots available still in break 425. We've got the double team Raz for break 424, which I'm hoping that will sell out today. You get the bonus blaster box for the winner, as well as the 2 spots, Titans and Dragons. If we can do that one tomorrow and only leaves a break 425, and once that one is sold out, we will be listing the hobby case break. Pick your team. And there is an extra hobby box there. It's not for the break, but it will be included. And we'll announce that more when we list the break. So keep an eye out, guys. League Heads Campbell Graham for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Dylan Egan for the Dragons. As I said, there's only a couple of spots. Obviously no pressure, but we do have the Raz going, so if you want to help get to that point, go and grab a spot in the Raz. It's only $5.50. It helps move us along. Game Breakers Jamie Chapman for the Titans. Luminous Jerome Luai for the Tigers. Your best bet, if you want to be notified, go and add break 426 to your wish list. It is currently the same as one of these, but it is the next break, and I will be changing that one over to the hobby case. So add it to your wish list. You'll get an email as soon as it's in stock. Triumph for the Raiders. Luminous Hudson Young for the Raiders. I was hoping to change it over to a change the coming soon over to represent the new one. So have the new picture and the details in there by this afternoon. But I might not get there before I have to go. We'll see what happens. League Heads Tom Gilbert for the Dolphins. Leka Halasima Luminous for the Warriors. I made the picture up for the new break like minutes before we went live with this one. It's been a busy morning. I look back and I feel like I got nothing accomplished, but I was flat out the whole time. Bang, Stephen Crichton for the Bulldogs. Luminous Hammer Fido for the Dolphins. Just one of them dudes. League Heads Phoenix Crossland for the Knights. Luminous Cohen Hess for the Cowboys. And here's an instant win. Not sure if we've had one of these in the breaks. May have had one. Luminous Nico Hines for the Sharks. Game breakers, Jesse Colquhoun for the Sharks. Max King, Luminous for the Bulldogs. Gladiators, Dylan Egan for the Dragons, number 569. And we got Lawson Albert Jones for the Warriors. League heads, Nico Hines for the Sharks. Luminous Reece Walsh for the Broncos. Bang, Asaya Iongi for the Eels. Luminous Tolator Koala for Manly. Game breakers, Kira Dib for the Cowboys. Luminous Dylan Edwards for Panthers. Colour die cut Tom Starling for the Raiders. Luminous Abby Church for the Eels. Game breakers, White for the Roosters. Luminous Spencer Lenu for the Roosters. 3 packets left for the box. Bang, Tamir Martin for the Warriors. Luminous Isaiah Yeo for Panthers. League heads, Sebastian Chris for the Raiders. Luminous Dylan Brown for the Knights. And lucky last for the box. Mercury Isaiah Katoa for the Dolphins, number 276. Luminous Clinton Gutherson for the Dragons. Alright, box number 9 done and dusted. Let's jump straight into box number 10. Colour die cut Jack Williams for the Eels. Excuse me, Luminous Isaac Tago for Panthers. Oh. Stop it. Sitting here drinking coffee and yawning at the same time. Go figure. League heads, Clinton Gutherson for the Dragons. Well, I better announce, since it seems like we've got a new round of viewers, watchers at the moment, don't forget, guys, first and foremost, go and get your tips in, round 5. And don't forget the new Pick the Score giveaway, only in the Facebook group. We listed that one today for round 5. Go check it out and get your entry. Luminous Alepiana Canberra for Titans. No winner for the Pick the Score giveaway in round 4, meaning we have a $75 gift card up for grabs in round 5 if someone can pick this round's game. Ezra Mam Bang for the Broncos. Luminous Addo Carr for the Eels. Game Breakers Dominic Young for the Knights. Luminous Robert Toyer for the Roosters. League Heads Payne Haas for the Broncos. Luminous Samima Torfa for the Raiders. Red Triumph Ruben Cotter for the Cowboys. Luminous Tamir Martin for the Warriors. League Heads Bradman Best for the Knights. Luminous Jai Gray for the Rabbitohs. Game Breakers Jermaine Hopgood for the Eels. Luminous Reed Marnie for the Cowboys. Bang Kale Iro for the Sharks. Luminous Damien Cook for the Dragons. Colour die cut Casey McLean for Panthers. Luminous Jason Saab for Manly. League Heads Angus Crichton for the Roosters. Luminous Ryan Pappenhausen for Storm. Game Breakers Kale Iro for the Sharks. Luminous Gahamat Shabarsky for the Broncos. League Heads Lachlan Galvin for the Bulldogs. Luminous Jacob Preston for the Bulldogs. Bang Casey McLean for Panthers. Luminous Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. League Heads Ethan Bullymore for Manly. Luminous Keezy Apps for Tigers. Colour die cut Jerome Hughes for Storm. Luminous Cody Walker for the Rabbitohs. There you go. Dad's just finished pricing the Pick Your Team Hobby case break, so I can do that once we're finished. Game breakers, AJ Brimson for the Titans. Luminous Brighton Nakora for the Sharks. Bang, AJ Brimson for the Titans. Luminous Kalen Ponga for the Knights. Game breakers, Luca Moretti for the Eels. Luminous Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. League heads, Zach Lomax for the Eels. Luminous Valami Kickout for the Bulldogs. Game breakers, Alex Twal for the Tigers. Luminous Apasai Coruscant for the Tigers. Oh, it should just pop in. Look, there you go. Rather than waiting for YouTube to catch up. Yeah. Oh, look. Nothing. My camera was just a bit low and wasn't picking up the hobby box. There it is. There's the next break, guys. Right on. Not the next one. We've actually got 2 more to go before we get there. Break 424 and break 425. But that's coming. Not long. As you can see, we've got the case of hobby and hobby box on top. Alright, let me bring YouTube back up. He's just being a tease now. Gladiators, Jerome Luai for the Tigers, number 254. And putting the pressure on me to get it up. Liam Martin for Panthers. We have done a hobby case with one of the starter cases. We did that early on. It was a random team though. League heads, Regan Campbell-Gillard for the Titans. Luminous Scott Drinkwater for the Cowboys. You'll also see the piles of cards. You can see there are actually the hobby base. The base cards out of the hobby boxes. And the rest of the inserts are there as well. We're 2/3 of the way through a hobby case, opening that, ready to list. Packing orders lately has been crazy. Game breakers, Trent Leroux for Storm. Luminous Luca Moretti for the Eels. Opened what? I feel like there was at least 25 albums, 50 packets from 25 albums. I think that should have been right. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was only 15 albums. Keon Kolomatangi die cut for the Rabbitohs. Luminous James Fisher-Harris for the Warriors. League heads Fanua Pole for the Tigers. Luminous Yasmin Clydesdale for the Knights. Bang Campbell Graham for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Val Holmes for the Dragons. Game breakers Isabel Kelly for the Roosters. Luminous Big Tino for the Titans. Billy Smith, a die cut for the Roosters. Luminous Lehe Hopawate for Manly. A red Triumph, Stephen Crichton for the Bulldogs. Luminous Morgan Smithies for the Raiders. Game breakers Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Luminous Dean Mariner for the Broncos. Bang Jackson Purdue for the Cowboys. Luminous Isabel Kelly for Roosters. League heads Ruben Cotter for the Cowboys. Luminous Nelson Asafa Solomona for Storm. League heads Adam Fanua Blake for the Sharks. Luminous Kale Iro for the Sharks. Mercury Chance Nicole Clockstad for the Warriors. Number 8. Nice low one. There we go. Number 8. Always good. Cody Nikarima, Luminous for Dolphins. And lucky last for box number 10. Hey, it is lucky last. We have a State of Origin predictor. So let's find a spot up there. Maybe don't grab the loose sleeves and expect the whole packet to move. League heads Wade Egan for the Warriors. Luminous Lycan King Togia for the Dragons. Oh, we don't need that one. Box number 11. And then we've got the 12 boxes out of the case. And then we'll get our 2 hobby boxes done. League heads Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Luminous White for the Roosters. Colour die cut Junior Polo for the Eels. Luminous Jack Bostock for Dolphins. Red Triumph for the team Panthers. Luminous Jack Williams for Eels. Bang Val Holmes for the Dragons. Luminous Braden Trindle for the Sharks. Colour die cut to Mayor Martin for the Warriors. Luminous Sam Verrills for the Titans. League Heads Tommy Dearden for the Cowboys. Luminous Bradman Best for the Knights. Game Breakers Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Luminous Junior Paulo for the Eels. Bang Herbie Farmworth for the Dolphins. Luminous Felice Kafusi for the Dolphins. League Heads Big Tino for the Titans. Luminous Ethan Strange for the Raiders. Mercury Ben Trebojevic for Manly, number 342. Lachlan Elias Luminous for the Dragons. Red Triumph Dream Baller for the Tigers. Luminous Billy Smith for the Roosters. League Heads Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Stefano Utikamanu Luminous for Storm. Game Breakers Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Luminous KO Weeks for Raiders. Colour die cut Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Luminous Bo Fermor for Titans. League Heads for Storm. Luminous Jason Tormalolo for the Cowboys. Bang Apasai Coruscant for Tigers. Luminous Alex Twal for Tigers. Game Breakers Kurt Capewell for the Warriors. Luminous Tarren Wishart for Storm. League Heads Jermaine Isako for Dolphins. Luminous Kira Dibb for the Cowboys. Bang Clinton Gutherson for the Dragons. Luminous Lindsay Smith for Panthers. Game Breakers Payne Huss for the Broncos. Luminous Fletcher Sharp for the Knights. League Heads Spencer Lenu for the Roosters. Luminous Xavier Willison for the Broncos. Game Breakers Emily Bass for the Tigers. Luminous Tommy Turbo for Manly. Colour die cut Ethan Strange for the Raiders. Luminous Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. League Heads Ruben Garrick for Manly. Luminous Connor Tracy for the Bulldogs. Game Breakers Ruben Garrick for Manly. Luminous Roger Tulvasa Sheck for Warriors. Bang Gahamat Shabarsky for the Broncos. Luminous Tiana Penatani Gray for the Sharks. League Heads Val Holmes for the Dragons. Luminous Terrell May for the Tigers. Gladiators Greg Marzu for the Knights, number 371. Luminous Brian To'o for Panthers. League Heads William Kennedy for the Sharks. Luminous Luke Lolili for Tigers. Game Breakers James Fisher Harris for the Warriors. Luminous Murray Tairaki for Cowboys. League Heads Dylan Lucas for the Knights. Luminous Chanel Harris Tavita for the Warriors. Game Breakers Ruben Cotter for the Cowboys. Luminous Blake Brayley for the Sharks. Colour die cut Eliza Katoa for Storm. Luminous Tui Kamikamika for Storm. Game Breakers Cameron Munster for Storm. Luminous Jake Trbojevic for Manly. League Heads Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Luminous Sean Kepi for the Rabbitohs. And last packet for the box. Bang Dream Buller for the Tigers. Luminous Tegan Berry for the Dragons. Alright, box number 11 done and dusted. Lucky last box of the case. League heads Lehe Hopawate for Manly. Luminous Jaden Sewer for the Dragons. League heads Keon Kolomatangi for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Emma Veron for the Sharks. Gladiators Will Penasini for the Eels, number 15. Luminous Cooley Kefu for the Dolphins. Game breakers Bayley Simonson for the Eels. Daniel Tupou Luminous for the Roosters. League heads Joash for the Eels. Luminous Appy Nichols for the Warriors. Game breakers Blaze Tairaki for Panthers. Luminous Carl Lawson for the Cowboys. Bang Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Fanua Pole for the Tigers. League heads Samula Fainu for the Tigers. Luminous Cameron McInnes for the Sharks. Colour die cut Kurt Mann for the Bulldogs. Luminous Trent LaRoe for Storm. Game breakers Cameron Murray for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Jamal Fogarty for Manly. Red Triumph Isaiah Iongi for the Eels. Luminous AJ Brimson for the Titans. Die cut Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Samula Fainu for the Tigers. League heads Harry Grant for Storm. Luminous Ray Stone for Dolphins. Bang Nico Hines for the Sharks. Luminous Stephen Crichton for the Bulldogs. League heads Isaiah Katoa for Dolphins. Luminous Philip Semi for Titans. League heads Marky Mark for Roosters. Luminous Moses Leota for Panthers. Game breakers William Kennedy for the Sharks. Jermaine Hopgood Luminous for the Eels. Bang Robert Toya for the Roosters. Luminous Mackenzie Wheel for the Cowboys. And Mercury Jonah Pezzett for the Storm, number 147. Luminous Murata Nakor for the Warriors. Game breakers Kurt Mann for the Bulldogs. Luminous Dylan Lucas for the Knights. Colour die cut James Tedesco for the Roosters. Luminous Lachlan Galvin for the Bulldogs. Colour die cut Asaya Papalihi for Panthers. Luminous Patrick Carrion for Broncos. Game breakers Billy Smith for the Roosters. Luminous Dane Gagai for the Knights. Red Triumph Jerome Hughes for Storm. Luminous Connor Watson for the Roosters. League heads Scott Drinkwater for the Cowboys. Luminous Moses Sulai for the Dragons. Bang Roger Tulvasa Shek for the Warriors. Luminous Zahara Temera for Raiders. League heads Mawaki Fodawaika for the Titans. Luminous Dylan Walker for the Eels. League heads Moses Leota for Panthers. Luminous Jamie Humphries for Rabbitohs. Game breakers Samaima Torfa for the Raiders. Luminous Billy Walters for the Broncos. Bang Zach Labour for the Cowboys. Luminous Joseph Tarpanay for the Raiders. League heads Greg Marzu for the Knights. Luminous Greg Marzu for the Knights. League heads Luciano Leilua for the Dragons. Luminous Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Fourth last packet out of our case. Game breakers Olivia Higgins for the Knights. Luminous Hugo Savala for Roosters. Dally M Rookie Predictor. Luminous for Storm. Bang Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Luminous Brendan Smith for the Rabbitohs. And last packet for the box and the case. Game breakers Herbie Farnworth for the Dolphins and Luminous Savali Tamali for the Raiders. Alright, 2 boxes to go, 2 hobby boxes to go. Alright, first hobby packet, Brendan Smith in the Luminous, 156. We have a gold die cut, Nelson Asafa Solomona, number 56. Luminous Savalio Tamali for the Raiders, number 106. We got Playmakers Asaya Iongi for the Eels, number 21. Luminous Emma Veron for the Sharks, number 180. Got Jake Averillo for the Dolphins, number 12. Gold Luminous Connor Watson for the Roosters, number 208. Gladiators Brendan Smith for the Rabbitohs, number 118. A gold back Luminous Moses Sulai for the Dragons, 188. Gold die cut Jack Whiten for the Rabbitohs, number 32. Luminous Dylan Walker for the Eels, number 422. Luminous Zahara Temera for the Raiders, number 616. Gold die cut William Kennedy for the Sharks, number 179. Gold back luminous Brian To'o for Panthers, number 37. And Daly M Predictor Wildcard. So we will put that to the side. Gold back luminous Luke Lawlilly for the Tigers. 666. There we go. Something different. Luminous Gold Samula Fainu, number 437 for the Tigers. And we got Gladiators Chance Nicole Klokstad for the Warriors, number 65. Gold Luminous Ray Stone for the Dolphins, number 676. Mercury Sterling Roger Tulvasa Shek for Warriors. There's the number up top, 67. Not sure how well that will show up, just above my finger over here. Luminous Stephen Crichton for the Bulldogs, number 357. Gold die cut Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Colour gold back Philip Semi, number 195 for the Titans. We've got 5 packets left in our first hobby box. Gold back luminous Patrick Carrigan for the Broncos, number 252. Gold die cut Will Penasini for the Eels, number 164. Luminous Dane Gagai for the Knights, number 570. Etched Luke Garner for the Panthers, number 69. Three packets left in the box. Gold luminous Adam Reynolds for the Broncos, number 670. Goldback Luminous Hugo Savala for the Roosters. Gold die cut Cohen Hess for the Cowboys. And last card for the packet, for the box. Luminous for Storm, number 101. Etched, Ethan Strange for the Raiders, number 52. And that's the end of our first hobby box. Alright, final box for break. Let's get it done. Goldback Luminous Dylan Edwards for Panthers. Oh, jersey number. Dylan Edwards for Panthers. Who is that? Greg King. Still waiting for Greg to join the Facebook group, mate. You got to join that. Get a part of the giveaways. Congratulations. Nice hit. Gold die cut Sam Verrills for the Titans, number 10. Payne Huss, Luminous Gold, number 604. Luminous Kurt Catewell for the Warriors, 129. Gold die cut Leka Helasima for the Warriors, number 110. Luminous Campbell Graham for the Rabbitohs, number 63. Playmakers Isaiah Katoa for the Dolphins, number 17. Luminous Ruben Cotter for the Cowboys, number 481. Luminous Dream Buller for the Tigers, number 520. Luminous Xavier Coates for Storm, 279. Etched Luke Metcalf for the Warriors, 124. Luminous Herbie Farmworth for the Dolphins, number 404. Luminous Dylan Egan for the Dragons. Number 67. Gold die cut Jamie Humphries for the Rabbitohs. 194. Luminous Sebastian Chris for the Raiders. Number 679. Etched Jesse Arthurs for the Broncos. 182. Luminous Phoenix Crossland for the Knights, number 572. Mercury Sterling, number 26. Tommy Turbo for Manly. Got 7th last packet for the break. We're almost there. Luminous Angus Crichton for the Roosters, number 710. Gold die cut Teddy for the Roosters, number 214. Luminous Jaden Campbell for the Titans, number 572. Gold Gladiators Kurt Mann for the Bulldogs, 126. Gold back Luminous Taylor Preston for the Bulldogs, number 709. Gold die cut Jason Saab for Manly, number 239. Gold Luminous Ethan Bullymore for Manly, number 717. Etched Tyson Frizzell for the Knights, number 64. Three packets to go. Gold Luminous Jesse Colquhoun for the Sharks, number 679. We have another State of Origin predictor. Let's grab one of these. There we go. 2 packets to go. Gold Luminous Reese Walsh for the Broncos, number 612. Gold die cut Jacob Saifiti for the Knights, number 93. And lucky last. Luminous Tolator Koala for Manly, number 134. 5. Alright, well that is the end of the packets, guys. So let's start going through these hits. I think I'm a bit out of order, so I think we started here. Let's go. Yes, this was our first, so yep, I've got that. Daly and Predictor, number 208 for the Storm. Ryan Pappenhausen. Now, if you weren't aware, Ryan has been replaced. Pretty sure it's Suliavu Falago. So if he wins and you have the Pappenhausen card, you can redeem that. Alright, next up, Dally M Wildcard, number 61 for the Cowboys. Razwin. Keep going. Our Gold Triumph, number 4. Nice low number for the Rabbitohs, Keon Kolomatangi. We've got Rabbitohs, Sam Driscoll. Congratulations, nice low one. And keep it going. Dally M Predictor, number 263. I think we razzed this one as well. Dolphins, Tarren Tairaki, Herbie Farmworth. Sure we razzed Dolphins in this. Dolphins, Cowboys, and Dragons and Titans. Alright. Dally M Rookie Predictor. Another low one. Number 4 for the Broncos. I've seen the conversation in the last day or two about the rookies for this year. Not many people could name many. Alright. Our State of Origin Gold. Number 50. Spencer Lenu. So that'll go to the Roosters. And our instant win for the Rabbitohs. Sam Driscoll again with that one. Yep, doesn't really matter. Alright, our first hobby hit that we got, Dally M Predictor, number 44. It is a wild card for the Raiders, Gareth Lawson. Alright, and our last big hit for the break, State of Origin Predictor number 50. And this time it is for Latrell Mitchell. Once again for the Rabbitohs. Rabbitohs doing quite well. Alright guys, that is it for this one. Go and check out the spot raz and the available teams. And hopefully we can get this hobby case up ASAP. Until then, guys, I will see you all later.